Hello and a very warm welcome to ET Studios at Zscaler Zenith Live 2025. Zero Trust meets the power of AI. I'm your host Devina Lason. Now, in today's hyper-connected economy, data is the world's most valuable currency and it's most targeted. With business operations seamlessly across borders, the challenge of protecting information has never been more urgent. In this session, we'll deep dive into protecting information in a borderless business world. How leaders are rethinking data security, not as a barrier to global business, but as the foundation for resilience, innovation, and growth in a borderless world. So please do join me in welcoming a very esteemed panel of experts. We have with us today Abhoy, Kumar, Sarkar, RVP, Sales, Zscaler, Keshan, Dayaratne, Group CIO, Ceylon Biscuits Limited, and Anup, Tongaonkar, CISO, Aditya, Birla, Fashion Retail. Right, gentlemen, very warm welcome to ET Studios. Thank you for joining today. Such a pleasure to have you all here.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, yeah, absolutely. And so we're here, of course, at Zenith 2025, and such a big theme. And what we're going to deep dive into today is data security, right? We're really going to unravel the whole aspect of protecting information in a borderless business world and business era, and what this means for various organizations like yourselves. Just to kickstart, Abhoy, would love to get some context setting from you. No conversation on data security can be had without talking about DPDP in the India context, right? So can you tell us how you see, with all the emergence of DPDP and how personal information is being treated these days, how would you say leaders should rethink their data protection strategies?
I think it's a great question. And a lot of leaders who I meet have this common question as to what do we do?
Yes.
Fundamentally, if you look at it, over the years, there has been an explosion of data in the last few years. And with AI coming in, that growth continues to grow. So the way I encourage people to think about is take a step back to look at the entire journey of data, right? The first thing is you need to have visibility. Where is your data? Across users, devices, applications, IoT, OT.
Yes.
And the next is also be aware about how is that data flowing within your organization and maybe in some cases externally. So that's the first step, visibility of data.
Absolutely.
The second step is how do you classify the data? Traditionally, if you look at it, people have used traditional classification tools, but with the evolving trend, I personally believe that you need to leverage AI to classify all of the data appropriately.
Yes.
Today, we are able to do that very effectively using our AI-powered classification at Zscaler. But the good part is we also integrate with a lot of other third-party traditional classification tools because change doesn't happen overnight. So you need to coexist together. So that's the second piece. How do you classify and use of AI? Third is in terms of how do we have a uniform policy? Today, data, if you look at it, channels have changed, right? There is the web layer, what's going to the internet. There is SaaS solutions, there is endpoint, there is email, and now evolution of Gen AI. What's important is you need to have a uniform policy across all of the channels so that it's easier for you to manage. And it's important because you never know which channel there is exfiltration happening.
Absolutely.
So that's the third piece. And the last and the most important, every country has their own privacy bills, right? India now with DPDP bill coming in is very important in terms of data residency. How do we ensure the relevant data resides in the country, right? And it is processed within the country. That's the holistic aspect, if I look at it, of how I recommend a lot of leaders to look at it. And Zscaler has been pioneering this, and that's been our vision to be able to do that, and that's driving some of the change.
Wonderful. Thank you. And what a great note to get Keshan in on this. Can you, please, from your perspective, how are you seeing privacy laws impacting the way that you manage data, you secure data? We'll get a bit of an international perspective from you.
Yeah, I think the way we are looking at is, why do you need to protect something? That means you need to make it against you. And if you take all these laws are passing now because it's now commonly becoming a threat to the citizens, and now we as organizations, we are collecting this data from the citizens, and then again, if someone else get hold of this information, what would happen? So this is where we come in as a responsible organization. How do we going to protect this data and keep the trust? Because trust is the main thing for customers. So it is, they give us the information willingly, and to make sure that we process the data in the right manner. So it's our responsibility that we process the data rightly and give the full benefit for them. This is how we see it as a problem. So we have to make sure our customers, our citizens are taking this data, and we protect them, protect their data for them, and then use it for their best interest.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for that. Please, Anup.
Yeah, I think data security or data protection is a term, and there are a lot of work that happened during the information security age. Like last 20 years, data protection was one of the strategy in information security also. But when it comes to DPDP or data privacy, that's where on all 100 things that you are focusing on, this particular aspect needs a lot of deep dive when you talk about privacy. Okay. Once then you start deep diving into it, then you see a plethora of opportunities that you need to look at, and how exactly you can deal with those challenges also at the same time. I think DPDP Act will probably invoke those thought processes, those challenges, those awareness within the countrymen, and I think that's where is the opportunity that I would see, which is generating in the enterprises also. From our perspective, we have a lot of customer data. We are B2C organization. Yes. So obviously the endeavor is that we have to protect our customer PI information. We are not highly regularized. I mean, there's no RBI or SEBI looking at it. But obviously data privacy brings a good amount of trust on what we want to do. Absolutely. In this particular area.
Absolutely.
I think just to add, it's very important because so many consumers, customers are entrusting their private or personal data with you. And it's also important, I'm sure you would agree with the fact that who has access, because insider threat is also a big thing, right? In terms of who has access to what level of data, because that's also something which I hope you also are looking at it.
Exactly. So as I said, data protection or data security, this particular term has been there. What tables one should access, or is there a direct admin access to a particular database? Those things are already been taken care of. Now when it comes to privacy data, it is a lot of awareness that has to keep in across, because data privacy in India especially is not, not a new, old term. It's been new to people. People are often casually sharing a lot of data, PI data, and unknowingly. So this is one part is awareness. Another part is the technology, how technology will help us to ensure that there is no privacy data is leaked out of the organization of the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, I mean, Abhoy, I think you can really tell us best, working with so many organizations across industries. Would you say that the customer experience at the end of the day is kind of going hand in hand with all the security measures we're looking at, especially in such a compliance-heavy landscape that we are in today?
No, I think this is a very common question I get, because yes, you want to do security, you want to do data protection, but at what cost?
Yeah.
End of the day, technology and security are enablers of the business. How do you add value in terms of to help the businesses achieve their goals, but in a very secure way? Exactly. And also meet some of the regulations? So today, if you look at it, what's very important and how we are helping a lot of our customers is Zscaler is a cloud native platform with security at the edge. And the way we do is, while we have different capabilities across the platform, we have a patented technology where we multi-thread each capability, but at a singular point of time. We call it multi-threaded with single pass, right? And that's the beauty of the platform, which means security is important, wherein I need to look at what is coming in, going out, to manage threat detection and also prevent data exfiltration, but without compromising on performance, because end of the day, I need to maintain business goals, outcomes, but ensure you do it in a very, very secured way. And that's what I think we have pioneered to be able to effectively bring all of this. And a simple example, which I give a lot of people, is When Gen AI became a buzzword about a year and a half back, everybody started talking. The initial reaction from a lot of CISOs was one school of thought saying, block Gen AI. I don't know what data is going out. There was another school of people who said, business needs it. I need to allow. But the reality is somewhere in between. How do you allow, but in a very secure way, right? So that it's enabling the business goals, but also ensuring data doesn't get exfiltrated. And that's the simple messaging which I give, that how do you enable businesses to be successful while ensuring do it successfully? And that's how we are able to do it without compromising in performance.
Absolutely, and seamlessly, of course,
Yep.
is the solution. Wonderful. Keshan, I would love to get some examples from you and a little bit of deeper insight into what really would you say are some of the key drivers that inspired your organization ultimately to overall holistically modernize and upgrade your data security posture.
Right. I think there are a few factors to do that. So, firstly, I think the upcoming acts compliance requirements was a catalyst to do that. At the same time, as now, like we started in Sri Lanka as a small organization, now we are expanding into different countries in a very rather speedy way.
Yes.
And now we are having small offices here and there, and to keep up with that growth speed, I think it was we needed some good technology to back it up.
Sure.
So this is why we thought of, like, without going into traditional network setup, why should we go with like a cloud first zero trust architecture? So we went with Zscaler on that, and then we expanded with Zscaler into different countries. And then again, for me to monitor it from Colombo, the real requirement came in, like, how do I trust the guy over there monitors and do the necessary upgrades to their firewalls, and all the technical deeds are done, and the staff there is also following the data protection needs and all the classification needs. How do I make sure that happens? So in a traditional environment, it's going to be very cumbersome for me to handle it. So this is where we want to go on a path where we want to manage everything centrally and have visibility all across the globe, wherever we're going to go, and we need to have the same visibility all across. So this is why our motivation changed into global perspective.
Okay.
And what is very important is, because every country have their own privacy laws. You go to Europe, there is GDPR. Now in India and in Sri Lanka also, we heard that there's a law. But I think what's important is, how do you enable businesses while global organizations, but every country have the data? How do you process all of the data in that country?
Absolutely.
Your tenant could be consolidated. I think that's what I think we partnered with Ceylon Biscuits to really bring that to life. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
wonderful.
you.
A very successful case study right here to deep dive into. And wonderful. Anup, let's go one level deeper here and understand also an example from you. And overall, how would you say you've looked at the measurability in terms of business success or security success when it comes to upgrading your data security posture?
Well, see, the KPIs are well carved out to a large extent. But when you look at the complexity in data security, especially looking at the AI that has come in, it is very tricky to really measure. For example, I have a landscape, if I want to brief about, is like I have the traditional companies like my Louis Philippe or Peter England brand stores, okay, which are highly appreciated by users. The second landscape is about Pantaloons, which is a multi-brand store where competitors also come in. We have an e-commerce platform which to sell all nine. There's a digital brand platform where we are selling brands, acquiring brands, and selling goods on that platform. And then we have ethnic and designer brand like Sabyasachi, Shantanu Nikhil, Tasva, House of Masaba. Now, each these brands or companies, I would say, has very different kind of requirement from a data protection, data security perspective. Some might have a very linear requirement because of the way they do the business. For example, some designer brands who are customizing certain things for celebrities. You cannot say that, okay, boss, this is very private. There is a privacy control. You cannot share certain things.
Right.
So it's not possible.
Yes.
So you have to tailorize your security controls in such a way that they can do business, while at the same time you are securing the critical data and non-compliances towards your enterprise.
Sure.
So obviously we use different tools, and Zscaler tool is also one of the tool that we have, like the browser isolation. Okay, so when it came to ChatGPTs of the world, where every employee in the office says we want access to this AI tools, it was at the initial stage difficult. We said no, and then when we got a control like browser isolation, we said okay, now you can explore your AI tools seamlessly
Yes.
without, I'm not going to compromise anything with that. So that's how, and business loved it because they could really evaluate the features
Absolutely, of course.
of
Yeah.
Gen AI.
Wonderful. It's a step-by-step process after all. Yeah, wonderful. Gentlemen, that's really great. Thank you for sharing so many insights here today. Before we wrap up, I'd love to understand from each of you, if we look into the future a little bit, what innovations do you really see making a big splash when it comes to data protection? Do you see these innovations making things more proactive as well? Just some insights from you on what you foresee for the next coming years.
So the way we look at it, and our roadmap is also aligned to that, is the first and foremost, I think I spoke about it. How do you move from traditional way of classifying to AI-based classification? Because what's changing is context today's world,
Yes.
right? So it's very important to look at context-based AI classification, and I think we have been doing that phenomenally well. Second is, how can you predict, looking at the way the data is moving, that there is a potential data exfiltration?
Right, yes.
And it's powered by AI, but also predicting what can happen. So today you need a lot of proactive solutions to tell me that potentially the way it is happening, this could be a potential breach.
Sure.
Go stop it. Third, which I spoke about, is insider risk. While yes, we worry about a lot of threats on the external world, insider risk is also
Sure,
equally important.
absolutely.
And we are investing heavily to look at behavioral analytics to detect that this doesn't seem to be right, and potentially there's something not right happening.
Yes.
You may want to look about it. So there will be a lot of, because most often a lot of breaches which happen, there is a big chunk which we are seeing evolving with insider threat. And
Yes.
last but not the least, as I said, how do you ensure data residency? How do you ensure there is no performance impact? Because security at the cost of performance inhibits business growth,
Of
right?
course, absolutely.
So those are the areas which I'm seeing that will continue to refine. And personally, I believe AI will play a big role in both detecting threats,
Yes.
protecting, and more importantly, also to automate a lot of these so that business runs very effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point there. In fact, is material for a whole other conversation, which we will have some other time. But thank you for that, please, Keshan.
Yeah, so I think, as you said, I think what we want in future, that we want to look from the product itself as, is that on the classification side, to look at the context rather than the keywords or anything like that. And because, sometimes you might need to exchange certain data. For example, if you are flying somewhere, you need to send your passport details out. So in a case that is contextually, that is allowed. So how do you make the AI to work and learn the context and use that to help the user without becoming a hassle? I think now, because of zero trust and other capabilities, it has become very easy for the users to do it without the help of IT, to manage everything without IT. So we need to bring the same thing on the other functions as well, especially on the classification area. That is where I see it.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I do agree with both the gentlemen out here. It's a AI versus AI kind of a
Sure.
war that's going on. So how much you actually can, tune the LLMs will actually give the benefit outcomes. So what I see is that in the future, what I would look at is certainly that there is a complete chain of command that is built in the AI to discover that if there is a phishing attack, there is some data exfiltration attempt. Okay, it detects, it automatically gives an alert, and obviously mitigate the incident automatically rather than some manual intervention. That's what we are looking at from an AI perspective. Today, obviously, there is a chunk of incident that comes in. As you rightly said, classification is a major challenge. And AI is certainly doing a good job out there, because I could see my classification dashboard populating with certain categories, and it's doing well. But obviously, there are still a lot of work to be done considering the false positives that comes in. Okay, but we are in future. What we are looking at is more context-based, as you rightly said, to give more accurate incidents, and obviously, an incident response from the AI side would help us to automate the
Yes.
process, reduce the SLAs, and reduce the manual interventions that we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much so. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here, sharing all your insights. I wish you the very best for your future endeavors. And thank you for being on ET Studios.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To all the
Thank you.
panelists.
Great talking
Thank
to you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on that note, as we've heard today, in a borderless business world, securing data isn't just about compliance, it's about the competitiveness as well as trust. The enterprises that can safeguard information while enabling seamless global collaboration will define the next era of digital growth. Thank you for joining us here on ET Studios at Zscaler Zenith Live 2025. Do stay tuned as we continue to uncover how technology, innovation, and security together are shaping the future of global business. Until next time, many thanks for watching.